Hello, hey everybody. I'm Joey Sparks, and God's mercies are new again this morning.
This morning with my mind set on Jesus. I woke up this morning with my mind.
Let's say you hop online and you look at the reviews of a restaurant before you go to it, and you see that the reviews constantly say this: fantastic service, best service in town, great wait staff, always hospitable, those kind of things. But then you also see them say, but the food is inconsistent. But the food isn't always the best. Great hospitality, great service, but the food still needs to improve. Now, let's suppose you then talk with the owner, the manager of the restaurant, and he tells you, yeah, we're working on that. We've got some things in place and we're making some new hires. We're figuring that out. We're improving the cooking and the tasting, and we're trying to get that turned around. We understand it's a weakness. Now, in that kind of a setting, one of the most important things that owner can do is to not ignore what is already good about that restaurant. If they were to take all of their energy and say, well, we're going to improve the food that has been subpar, and they do that at the expense of the service, then they don't win anything, right? They don't gain any credibility. They just flip-flop from having good service and mediocre food to having mediocre service and better food or good food. It's always important when we make changes, that we understand what needs to go, what needs to leave, what needs to be fixed, but also what must stay the same. That there are core things that cannot change. So a restaurant cannot sacrifice service in order to be better at its food. It needs both. Well, when Paul writes this letter of 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, he really hits some things hard, and he has to. Maybe some things he's going to correct them on later when it comes to the return of the Lord and the state of those who have already died. But in chapter 4, listen to how clear he is in the opening verses. Finally then, brothers, we ask and urge you in the Lord Jesus that as you received from us how you ought to walk to please God, just as you're doing, that you do so more and more. For you know what instructions we gave you through the Lord Jesus. Here what he's saying is, we're going to tell you some things in the future, coming up verses, that you got to change. But don't sacrifice the things that you're doing already in order to change those things. I'm going to tell you, these are the things you have to do. And some of them are things that you already know, that you've already been doing. You got to do so more and more and more. Don't sacrifice the sexual purity, for instance, in these opening verses. Don't sacrifice, beginning verse 9, the brotherly love that you already have. You're going to have to change some things when it comes to anticipating the Lord and his return. But you can't sacrifice these other things that you do have in place. Keep growing in them more and more. You can learn a powerful lesson from that. Don't change what cannot change. Don't change what is already in place and good. Instead, keep adding and building on the things that do need to grow while keeping the right things in place. Hey, we thank you for your time today. It's our prayer that God's timeless word will be on your mind all day today.
I woke up this morning